Ladies and gentlemen, I am StooDogg. So, several years ago, when myself and Kadenza were on the Out This World podcast, I remember Kadenza talking about dreams and saying that in dreams he isn't able to read things. But the thing is that I find that I am able to read in dreams, and I do have difficulties writing, but recently as well, I'd heard someone else say a similar thing in a podcast that I was listening to, and it made me think, let's sit down with Cadenza and think about sort of how we perceive reading and writing in dreams. So, to that end, we got Cadenza here again.
Hey everybody! Yeah, I'm becoming quite a regular on this channel. And I couldn't
You're
be
more
more
often
happy.
than I am.
Yeah, you might as well
Like
just
that
hand
time that
over
I
the
tried
keys.
to have a live stream, and it took me like half an hour to actually show up to my own live stream.
Been there, done that. I think this is a super interesting topic because, and when Stu mentioned it to me, I was like, I remembered, talking about it, but I literally had a dream last night where I had looked at a book, and inside the book looked normal, but when I looked inside the book, the writing kind of looks like when you tell an AI to like write a sentence, like an image AI. It's all jumbled, and it's kind of symbols that look like the alphabet but not really, or it's the alphabet but in such a way that it doesn't form any kind of coherent words. And I find it very interesting that Stu says that he's able to read in his dreams, because I've often been told by people who attempt to lucid dream semi-regularly that that's one of the ways that you can recognize and wake up your unconscious mind when you're asleep, is to look at a book, look at writing, flip on a light switch, and it doesn't do anything. Like, there's a lot of weird kind of things that happen in the dream logic that are triggers to awaken you into realizing that this is not real. Because, when you're having the dream, you never ask yourself how you got there, where you are exactly, and what you're doing. It's just happening. And that's part of the unconscious part of the experience of dreams. But, when you dream, Stu, and you are able to read, like, what is the content of what you're reading?
Yeah, so quite often it's messaging, text messaging, Twitter messages, etc. That seems to be the main thing. It's communicating back and forth with people. So I'm able to read texts on my phone, but the thing is, it's just the reading part of it. The trying to respond, that's where the problems come in, because I find it difficult to compose a message to send back, or if it's reading, like being part of an exam and reading things on a piece of paper and writing. I find writing in the dream world to be pretty much impossible, and the responding back to text messages, like typing, to be virtually impossible as well, to the extent that in my dreams, when I'm attempting to do these things, I feel a physical discomfort in doing them. Like, imagine holding a pen, but holding it really badly, and like twisting your wrist around, and like that's the sort of level of physical, not pain, but a discomfort that I get when I'm trying to communicate back in a sort of a text or written form.
I think it's the act of responding to a message is very much like a conscious effort. So I think it might just be that your conscious brain hasn't fully awakened to the dream world yet. But it's weird. A lot of people report that they have the way that you describe having physical discomfort, if you ask people if they ever like run in their dreams, it's the same way. They feel like they're like they have cement shoes, or like that they're swimming in water. You know, like it's a very sluggish type of thing, and I don't know what that is exactly, but my guess would be our brain is just kind of making this reality, and it doesn't want us to run away too fast, because then it has to load, you know, it has to render it.
Yeah, like Minecraft loading up the next chunk.
Well, it's weird, right? Because I never remember looking into the distance in my dream either. It's always, like, superficially what's right in front of you. Kind of like a holodeck, you know? Like, it's, you're just seeing what is directly around you. And as you like, walk around, you think that you're moving through space, but what you're actually doing is just, you're relatively still, you know? And things are just moving around you.
Like tall buildings or being inside rooms, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a, you know, I wish I could remember the name of this movie I watched once, but it was like an animated movie about people having lucid dreams, and I remember I got the light switch thing from that, because they were talking about how you can wake up in the dream, and I've had a few experiences with lucid dreaming where I wake up my conscious mind, but my body is still asleep. So it's like, I remember when I was talking to you about this earlier, you said, you know, once you realize you're like dreaming, you often wake up, and that's often my experience too. But a few times I've been able to like manipulate the dream into it, like a direction I want by thinking about it, and I just think it's really cool.
Yeah, I find it's like when I become aware in the dream and able to attempt to control the dream world, it's almost like I damage it to the extent that the bubble bursts, basically, and then I wake up.
It's a shame. I hope there is quite a few documented methods about how you can kind of spur on lucid dreaming, and a lot of people experience that. But one of the practices is like writing down your thoughts as you're about to go to sleep. Like right before you go to sleep, say, I am going to lucid dream tonight. Like you have to put some conscious will and thought like into your own brain, but also into the real world. Like you have to kind of profess that this is going to happen. And oftentimes, as our brains are one to do, we think therefore we are, you know?
Yeah, it's like you need to try and manifest this ability before you use it, kind of thing, before it works out for you.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, the studies of sleep and dreams is quite fascinating. There's so many facets you could talk about, but like I've always been a believer that you know, when you're not waking up in the dream and you're just experiencing it, I think that it's oftentimes our subconscious brain trying to use like metaphors and stuff like that to tell us things about our waking life. I often have dreams when I'm troubled about this person or that person, you know, potentially somebody that is no longer in my life for a long time. It's like, well, why did they show up? You know? Or dreams where you have encounters with what are seemingly strangers, but according to what I've read, anybody's face that we see in our dreams is actually somebody that we've seen in real life. Like, we cannot actually piece together our like randomly generated character. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's an odd one, because I had a dream last night where there were two people there, and like I didn't recognize who they were, but I mean, they seemed like real people. So I was just like, where did my brain create these people from? You know?
It's strange. Like, have you ever heard about the people that go into comas and experience dreams where they can, like, sometimes they have like whole other lifetimes of experience, you know? And when they wake up, it's quite disorienting. Kind of like Picard waking up in what was the little flute episode called with the light?
The Inner Light.
The Inner Light. Oh, great one. Oh, maybe that's what we should do. Anyway, yeah, it's quite disorienting to wake up from like a very realistic dream, especially when the characters within it are like identical to real people. I've had a few experiences where I realize I'm dreaming and I go up to a character and I tell them that they're not real, and they just have like a moral panic or they have like a breakdown, pretty much like you'd expect a real person to. Like, oh, I don't want to go. No, don't wake up, please.
No! Bubble bursts. Dream world damaged. Waking up now.
It's strange, you know. Like our waking lives follow the logic of the universe that we live in, but inside our unconscious minds, we can create entire universes and stories and characters, and it almost makes me wonder if, in some roundabout way, we're some character in somebody else's dream.
Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe we are within someone else's mind, and they are dreaming, and we have mere seconds left to survive. Seconds that seem to us like, well, years.
Yeah, eternity. The closer you approach the infinite, the more confusing things get. But it's like, it's always been interesting to me how we have this entire like other part of our brain. You know, I guess there's like the left and the right hemisphere, and somewhere in there is like what you would call yourself. Like somewhere in there is StooDogg, somewhere in there is Kadenza, and like on the other side is like the shadow self, you know, the unconscious mind that is very much alive in its own thing, but it doesn't have control. It just doesn't. It's weird. Like we were also talking before we started recording the Star Trek retrospective that we did. That's sometimes I will talk in my sleep, and my girlfriend has told me that I can have like full conversations responding like logically, and it's like I don't have any recollection of that happening. So what was that? It wasn't me. I don't know. It either was me and I just forgot. It just immediately erased from my memory banks, or it was something else, you know?
Sleep me on autopilot mode, just responding and saying stuff back.
That's the way I feel after I've worked a double and have to go in again. Like, I'm just responding to stimuli at that point.
Robot automaton.
Yeah, it's I think you should attempt to try to lucid dream, Stu, because it is quite the experience. I know some people who claim that they can do it every night, and I'm not really. I don't know about that. Like, it's hard to say whether somebody can or can't, because it's not like we can see their dreams. But a lot of these methods that people have wrote down and talked about, they seem to help. And it's really cool to be able to like steer your unconscious imagination and do anything that you can think about. Like, I've had dreams where I've actually had a lot of dreams where I'll suddenly become weightless and start flying into the sky, and to be able to like do that on a switch and just, I'm going to fly now, and just zoom away, like it's cool. I mean, it's about as close to having a superpower as I think you can get in real life.
My superpower is sleep.
My superpower is I am a sleepy boy.
No, it's something I've been thinking about doing for the channel for a while. Is sort of like recording a dream journal kind of thing, just like writing down stuff in the morning.
That's the best way to remember it. It like, I often find the dream, if there is like whatever fragment of it is left in my memory when I wake up, is lost within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's the thing. It seems to disappear so quickly, like just dissipates.
Yeah, when you try to remember specifics, but it's, to me, it's like, you know, they say maybe we live in a simulation or something, but the fact that that every night we potentially have the ability to simulate entire situations that will never happen or have never happened is just amazing. Like, it's something mundane that we all take for granted, but it is quite extraordinary.
Kind of makes you think, like, why do we have this ability? It's, I mean, it doesn't seem useful from a biological perspective.
No, it doesn't, but we know for a fact that we're not the only animal that dreams. Like, my cat will dream and he'll be kicking his little paws.
Yeah, you can watch the cat and you see the cat like moving, like so much just from being asleep. Because my cat was the same.
Yeah,
she would, like,
you can tell they're in the throes of a dream.
You see the little ears moving about like satellite dishes, and the sort of the twitches in the back legs and stuff.
They don't like some animals don't seem to have quite the like the drug that we have in our bodies naturally that like knocks out our bodies so we don't like try to act out our dreams. But then some people do. There's dream walkers, right? Like, or sleepwalkers. Like, there's like a pretty sizable percentage of people who actually can be fully unconscious yet mobile and shit. I'm just reminded of that Ed and Eddie episode of when Ed is sleepwalking and he just walks into everybody's house and starts eating their food. Yeah, that's best case scenario because I had a little cousin once who sleptwalked and he just like walked into the closet once and just took a dump. So that's the worst case scenario.
I've never done anything as crazy as that, but I mean, I do think that I have sort of moved about quite a bit at night in the dream state because I would wake up with like unexplained bruising.
Dude, same. I get unexplained scratching all the time, and we joke that it's like demons or something.
But I mean, I've never moved far from like where the bed is. I've woken up on the floor several times.
Oh, that's not good.
But like, I mean, that's across the whole of my life, not within like a short period. It's not something that happens all the time, but something that I'm just kind of aware that it has happened before.
It's a good thing to be aware of, you know, like if you have those tendencies. Apparently, I just talk in my sleep. I haven't had somebody say that I have a case of sleepwalking or acting out dreams, but I definitely have when I get stressed about life or whatever, it seems to trigger the sleep talking a little bit more. Sometimes it's just random gibberish, and sometimes it is literally full-on conversations like I'm awake, and I don't remember any of it. This is a strange thing. A lot of sleepwalkers will not remember anything about the state they were in, or even what they were dreaming about.
Mm-hmm.
This has been an interesting conversation.
Like I say, I was thinking about it earlier on, and then when I was listening to a podcast a few days ago, it reminded me of the episode of Out of This World that you had a few years back when you mentioned it. I don't think I was actually on that episode, but I did catch it on the repeat, and at the time I did think, like, I can read stuff in my dreams.
That's so strange. I've never met anybody who's like so that they can do that. Most of the time, people either don't know or they say they can't read anything, and it's quite a thing to ask too, because I think a lot of people have trouble with like actually getting into a sleep state where they can dream, because I believe it only happens during like rapid eye movement sleep. So you have to be pretty knocked out, and with like modern lifestyles and caffeine consumption and just a lot of the stress that we're all under nowadays, it's like it's not unusual for somebody to claim that they don't dream at all, and I just think that's unfortunate, really.
People, I mean, everybody dreams, but maybe it just comes down to just not being able to remember it properly, sort of thing.
Yeah, the recollection of it. To be fair, like, we have, two modes of memory. We have like short-term and long-term, and a lot of the short-term stuff is like remembering a phone number that you just heard so that you can call it, and then you immediately forget that phone number, right?
Yep.
The long-term is the more detail-oriented stuff, but it's like, in order for things to go into long-term memory, they have to be repeated, which is why repetition is so important to learning, because the more you do something, the more connections for that thing exist in your brain. And when it comes to dreaming, I think a lot of times, if you're not putting in the effort to remember, you won't remember.
Yeah, it's like a computer with file handles. It's if you're not putting the handle on those files, then they're just going to be quite ephemeral, and then they'll be gone.
Well, our brain is very good at processing and keeping the things that are important and tossing out everything that isn't. And sometimes we toss out some important stuff with that, but it's it's just a natural process, and I think that's it. In order for more people to experience what it's like to lucid dream, first of all, we have to start learning how to remember our dreams in the first place. And I think keeping a dream journal would be interesting, Stu, especially if you're going to share it, because sometimes dreams are just so random, like so wacky, and just not everything has to have a meaning, but it seems like a lot of times what our unconscious brain is trying to do is use symbols and metaphors and like situations to illustrate a point about something in our waking life. I remember my mom, she was very big into like interpreting the meaning of dreams and stuff like that. So like one time she had told me that she had a dream about a friend of my brother's, and this friend was I guess a little troubled, a little bit like, I don't want to say like a bad influence, but kind of a bad influence for my brother. And she had a dream that he was holding on to my brother's leg while my brother was trying to walk somewhere, and she interpreted that as he was like weighing him down, which
holding him back kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's like that, those were her unconscious thoughts being brought up through metaphor, and it's really interesting. Sometimes when I feel like I've lost control over my own life because of whatever reason, like, I'll have dreams about tornadoes, because they represent, like, just random devastation, like just chaos, basically. But it's always strange because I've never had a dream where I'm like outside with a tornado. Most of the time I'm like inside and I see it go by the window or something like that.
Yeah, like you're in a safe haven or a sheltered sort of area from it kind of thing.
Yeah, and the chaos is like outside. It's interesting. Like, I would love to hear the kind of dreams that you have once you put it to paper, because that's something I've always been interested in, is interpreting like what our minds are trying to tell us, and we could be way off even. Sometimes dreams are just that, they're just dreams. They don't follow logic and they don't need to. And sometimes, though, they're trying to tell you something important.
And I think, if anything, if I do keep a dream journal, it'll help out if I go through a dry spell of content where, like, I'm not able to think of anything to upload. So I can just,
Today I dreamed about cheese.
That. The end.
The end. I was eating cheese. It was the best dream ever.
That does sound like a pretty good dream. I almost want to make that a reality by like getting some cheese. I've got some like ciabatta rolls in my kitchen.
That sounds good.
That's gonna make a good cheese sandwich.
I'm a mild cheddar guy myself. I will put that shit on anything.
Strong cheddar for me, man. Scottish mature stuff.
You Scottish, your taste buds are so, they're, maybe it's my taste buds that are just whack because of all the weird American trash that I eat. But yeah, you know what? I think doing a little dream series would be neat, and you never know who's gonna show up when you do stuff like that too, because there's all kinds of people that have like interesting dream experiences, that you could even encourage people to share in the comments and stuff like that.
So what I was going to say, to open this up to the comment section, I'd like to know if anyone listening, I'd like to know about your reading and writing comprehension during your dreams. Are you like Kadenza and things just seem like symbols? Or are you like me and you can receive text messages and you can read them and understand them, but you're not able to reply to them because you just find it difficult to communicate back in that manner? Or can you read things on paper and then when you try and write, it just doesn't work?
It's weird because talking and thinking about talking comes naturally in dreams, because it almost feels like you're just plopped into a situation. But when it comes to like responding to, well, I mean, I can't even read I can't even read what is written, but like if I were to try to respond to somebody, I don't think I'd be able to do that either.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm about dreamed out. How about you?
Yeah, it's I think it's actually sleepy time and it's time to go and actually dream. And
yeah, and it's honestly it's getting a little late here too, so I'm probably gonna hit the hay, and I'll be thinking about this tonight too. To add to what Stu said, on top of the if you are able to read or right in dreams. Like, if you just have any interesting experiences, or maybe you had a dream that told you something, or you interpreted something from it that helped you or benefited you, or maybe you just had a weird experience where you were in a complete chaos world where nothing made sense. Like, I'd love to hear about that.
The Rick and Morty universe.
Morty, you had to go to sleep, Morty.
Oh my God, Rick! No!
No, Rick. I can't go to sleep right now. I just had 2 monsters, Red Bulls, and my heart is pounding, Rick. Oh my God.
My chest is going to explode. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you next time.
See ya. Peace.